Can we talk for a minute about our Integrating Heart and Mind workshop?
Absolutely. I'm excited. It's coming up in the fall of 2024.
I'm so excited. We changed the format to make it more accessible to people with like work schedules and personal schedules. And so this time we're going to do it 3 hours on a Friday afternoon or evening, depending on where you're at, and 5 hours on Saturday for 2 different weeks in September.
Yeah, it's so great. Like if you're finding yourself stuck in like sticky bad patterns or having communication issues or something like that, or if you want to just like get closer and trust yourself or your partner more, this is the workshop for you.
Yeah, and individuals are welcome, couples are welcome. If you're interested in really thinking through how to serve yourself well inside of your relationships, then we've built a workshop that will support you in finding the ways that are just right for you.
To sign up, head over to our website at whydoesmypartner.com/events.
We hope you'll join us. Welcome to the Why Does My Partner podcast.
I'm Jules.
I'm Vicki.
And I'm Rebecca. We're your hosts. We're also couples therapists and messy humans bumbling through our own relationships every day.
We met at a training, and our secret sauce is that we and our partners became fast friends. Between us, we have more than 40 years of experience holding hard relational questions with our clients. We're going to bring those questions here.
And together, we're going to take a stab at answering those questions. This podcast is not a substitute for couples therapy. If something you hear in this podcast stirs something deep within you about your relationship, reach out to a couples therapist in your area.
We also love to hear your questions, so don't forget to go over to whydoesmypartner.com to leave a question of your own. Our next live workshop, Integrating Mind and Heart, will be held online from September 22nd to 24th, 2023.
If you want to get closer and trust each other and yourself to get through the hard moments, this is the workshop for you.
Sign up at whydoesmypartner.com/events.
Welcome back.
I'm Jules.
I'm Vicki.
And I'm Rebecca. And today we've got Al with us again. Welcome, Al.
Hi.
For those that don't know, Al is our podcast editor and an amazing music therapist. And we are so happy to have him here with us today. Today's question is actually two questions. We're consolidating them into one. We're asking, why does my partner have trouble with my feelings? But two different listeners wrote in, and their questions were, why does my partner react frustrated or annoyed when I want to talk and express my thoughts and feelings? And also, why does my partner interrupt me when I'm explaining my feelings? And when I do ask, the response is usually, well, I already know what you're going to say.
I have a quick answer. Because feelings are icky and I don't want to hear them.
And if you're going to have feelings, then I have to have feelings, because listening to your feelings is vulnerable, just like having them is, I guess. And I don't really want to feel all the things that I have to feel if I'm going to listen to you and actually like hear what you're having to say. So it's easier for me just to like not hear you.
Totally. We just turned it into vulnerable depth conversation. Am I actually ready for that?
That's the thing. Right?
You went there fast.
We did go there fast. But that's what happens. When we bring up feelings, we go there fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's kind of hard to get out of it again. Once
Right.
you're there.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah, because now I got all my
oh, are we
feelings.
doing this again? Now I have to buckle myself in.
Yeah. Oh, no. How long is this going to take?
Exactly. Thank you
That's
for
an
saying
awesome
out loud
response.
what I knew my husband was thinking. No, I'm kidding. If anybody's going to bring up feelings in our marriage, it's probably Adam. He's a feelings dude. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. And you are now, but you weren't.
No,
like
not
years
initially.
and years ago. Not to go down that rabbit
Well,
hole, but
I
I
don't
do know
know.
that story.
We're both a little bold when it comes to directness, though. Like our very
Mhm.
first, we went on this date, and I was gonna like do cool girl something or other because he's super cool. He's like, my husband's a musician, rock, like
He's literally a
man.
rock
Cool.
star.
He's super
literally
cool.
He's like
Yes.
way cooler than anybody I've ever dated, right? And so he takes me out for dinner, which is also, by the way, because I only dated losers before him. Just true. He's the first person who's ever bought me dinner in my life. I'm not kidding. He
wow.
actually took me out.
Okay.
He picks me up. He takes me to dinner. He pays for dinner. I've never had this happen before. And so anyway, I'm like, well, I probably should be cool. and like wait for him to call me, right? But then the
Oh,
next
that
day
kinda
I thought,
cool.
fuck that. That's dumb. And so I called him and said literally that. I know I'm supposed to like wait and like be cooler
Yeah.
than this, but I'm not. I just want to talk to you. Can we chat? And then we talked for 4 hours.
Mm.
So actually we're both
Oh.
very, very direct.
Yeah.
But we have different styles of directness, but we're both really direct people. Like, just why are we screwing around? Let me just tell you what's actually true.
I like that though. I mean, not everyone does, but clearly
Yeah.
you 2 do, and that worked well.
Yeah, it worked well. I
Yeah.
mean, it could have been a huge turnoff, but it
It
wasn't. So.
totally could have been.
But
Yeah.
directness also
Yeah.
like correlates into like we can tolerate talking about feelings some.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think when I think about the folks in
Mhm,
my office
mhm.
that really have a hard time talking about feelings, they're the people that have a really hard time being direct. They're the people that have a really
Mhm.
hard time actually naming what's happening. Right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
saying I am frustrated is too hard to do. So instead of doing that, they will swallow all of that frustration until it's like resentment turned into indifference.
Mhm.
Okay.
Why do you want to talk about all those feelings? It's just going to be hard.
Right.
Hard makes things better.
Wouldn't it be better to just not talk about it?
No, not
Yeah.
well, okay, so yes, short term,
Yeah.
yes. Long
Yeah.
term, no. There's a
Right.
difference between short term and
Mhm.
long term better.
Yeah,
Mhm. Oh, I
exactly.
love that you said that. Okay, so this is like dropping neuroscience on us because I love to do it.
Uh-huh.
So the brain actually gauges pain differently depending on how close it is. So it will guess that
Oh, yeah,
pain
you've
far
said that.
away is less
Must
bad
be.
than
Yeah.
pain close to me in time, even
Uh,
if that's not actually true. So, like, the pain from this moment conversation where you're breaking
Mhm.
into feelings, I'm assessing it subconsciously. It's not a conscious assessment, but we're assessing it as like, oh no, this is going to be painful, and I'll react with frustration and shut you down, right? Um, but I'm misjudging the long-term pain that comes from you feeling totally emotionally abandoned by me, and 3 weeks
Over
from
and over
now
again for
Mhm.
5 or 10
or
years.
3
Okay.
months from now or 3 years from now are now bitching at me in a big way. It's actually leading to breaking up or whatever.
Mhm.
We're misjudging the long-term cost versus the short-term cost. So is it hard? My guess is that's what's happening. It's hard.
Well, and I do wonder, I think that's a large part of it, but I also do wonder the context in which it's being brought up.
yeah.
Totally.
As superficial as this sounds, but like say you're pausing a TV show to talk about feelings, which I know works well in some families. It does not work
In
well
my
in mine.
family, we do that all the time. Everybody does it. Even my kids
Yeah.
pause. Let me talk about what's I'm feeling while I'm watching this. We all love it. But your
Yeah.
household, that is not true.
It is not true. I have 3 people who scold me when I do that. And it is like, Mommy, can we just go back to the TV show? Mommy, can we? And Daddy looking at them going, see what my world is like every night. This is what Mommy does to me when I'm trying to watch TV at night. They're like, oh my gosh, Mom. So,
Do we have to
In
meta
that-
process
How
everything?
do you hold on to the feelings though to talk about them later? I don't understand that. Like you have to pause the TV show because if you
because-
don't, you lose track of the feeling. The TV show will still be there when you're done talking about the feeling.
That's what I think, but what I have found is it's typically that it's not like a feeling the TV show brought up for me. It's that the TV show reminded me of something else. And now let me tell you this big old story about something else. And I really do mark it. And at the end of the show, I'm like, so here's what I wanted to tell you. And so I do
Mhm.
bring it up later. But no, it's not like, oh, because they said that. I'm thinking, well, yeah, Gabe used to hate it when I did that too, because mine was, what if this was us? What if this was us? How would we respond? And Gabe's like, can I just watch the show?
Joe. That
And in my house, by the time it's the end of the evening and we're sitting down to watch TV, that's the time when we get to just
feelings.
relax, where we've done our whole day. Have
we've done
feelings.
feelings all
No,
day long.
We've done
thanks.
feelings. Like we've
Oh, I'm like,
we've-
no, that's when I'm ready to download all the feelings. That's the
Yeah.
part of the day where I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I got it now.
Yeah.
This is what
Okay.
I was feeling all day.
So
Let me
see-
share it with you.
Yeah,
This
whereas for us, it's when we don't have that capacity. That's when
Yeah,
we go to
right.
TV.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
And I think
So
that
it's a
might be
signal
Gabe.
that
Thank you
that's-
for that.
yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly where he's at.
like to bring it back to the question, that would be a really bad time to approach either of us, no matter
with
who you are,
feelings.
Yeah.
because we're just not there.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
I'm tired.
I don't have
Yeah.
energy for this. Totally. Which
Yeah.
Oh, it's
speaks
so
to different
funny 'cause
capacities too.
different
Yeah.
nervous systems
Yeah.
are wired so differently, right? Because like
Mhm.
in my
Totally.
house, it's like the end of the night, like right before bed is when everyone is like, "Oh,
Mm.
the feelings. Yeah, I forgot about them all day. Here they are."
Oh.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
downtime, that's when they come out.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
right
That
as we're
happens.
winding down.
Yeah, that
They don't
happens
come
with
up at the
me. We
dinner
do girl
table. They
talk
don't
at
come up.
night.
Yeah.
Me and my
Oh.
daughter, we do girl talk at night, and it's when everything's calm and we're in the bed, and she's like, "By the way, this thing happened to me today. Can I tell you about it?" And so
Mhm.
that's like when the feelings are going to come out, is more
Totally.
towards the end of the day. But I was also thinking about capacities or interest, maybe even in just like how much emotional conversation do two partners want to have. So it could
Mhm.
be what's going on is just a really big difference in
Like a
how much
mismatch.
emotional talk we want. Yeah, like a mismatch. And that doesn't,
Mhm.
I'm all about celebrating differences in relationship. I think that's
Yes,
where
you
riches
are.
come from. Yeah. So it may be though that there needs to be some sort of meta talk about how much of that we both want and meet in the middle if those capacities are really different or the interest in that kind of talk is really different.
Right. And it could also be like in that meta talk, there could be a conversation of, well, here's when I actually have capacity for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
that
Here's when I
Right?
was
can
what I
meet
was
you
getting
there.
to.
Or
Mhm.
here's
You know
how
what
I
I was
can show
thinking?
you when I'm reaching my capacity.
Right.
Oh,
Totally.
that
Right?
too.
And
Oh,
so now we
yeah.
have like, here's how I can show you when I'm reaching the capacity. Here's when I predict I might have the capacity. So here's
Yeah.
how we know when we can try to have that
Mhm.
conversation and when we can make sure that we're heard or you're heard.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
You know what I was thinking too is just about how much people think of feelings, particularly when they're about the other person or about an interaction we've had,
Mhm.
just how typical it is, how common. I think common's maybe a better word than typical. Let me correct that. It's like how common it is to feel like when you express your feelings, you're telling me your feelings are my fault.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so there's
Yeah.
a blame element that I think can come in.
Which also
Yeah.
means there's like a defensive element on the other side of the blame or
Yeah.
some form
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
protection.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
not just then
Yeah,
don't talk
exactly.
to me about feelings because then I have to feel feelings. Don't talk to me about feelings because it might be my fault.
It might be my fault you're
Yeah.
having
Oh.
feelings.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
And of course, we influence each other's feelings. Like
yeah.
everything I'm putting out into the world is influencing the world around me for sure. And also, I don't actually control other people's feelings.
Yeah.
Really? I don't?
That's such a nuance. I agree with you 100%, and there's such nuance to that.
Yeah.
Like
Uh-huh.
influence versus control
Yeah.
Yeah.
or make. That's how
Make.
people say
I
it.
do not make
Right.
people have
Right.
feelings because remember we were talking about this last episode. If you have not
Mhm.
heard it, we won't go as heavy into the neuroscience this time as we did last episode. Go take a listen to that one. But um, feelings are much more complex than a thing happens and then a feeling is made. That's
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's a
Mhm.
way more
It's way more
complicated
complex than that.
process than that. So for sure, if I do something like super egregious, so if I were being gaslighting
Yeah.
towards my husband, oh yeah, I am making most of that feeling happen.
Right. If there's
Right?
manipulation on board, if there's
Sure,
some right, like
sure.
yeah,
Mhm.
there's ways of doing
I'm not
that, but
talking about
most of the
abuse.
time,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. If it's abusive, you are making people have feelings. They're really specific ones that you're trying to make happen. No, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about your regular day-to-day interaction. I don't know. A little bit is on you, and a lot of it
Mhm.
is on the other processes that are happening
Yeah.
inside. Yeah.
Yeah, well, being in a relationship is, or part of learning about your partner is knowing what are the things that are going to cause them to feel certain ways,
Mhm.
and not
Mhm.
bending over backwards, but
But knowing this
finding
about your
those middle
partner.
grounds,
Mhm.
finding the
Finding some
rhythms
accommodation.
that you
Yeah,
can.
for
Yeah.
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Well, if you want what you want when you want it, live alone, right?
Right. Like my husband knows that I feel really hot these days when I'm going to sleep at night because I'm going through this like perimenopausal thing. And so
Totally.
he's super sweet about like turning down the temperature of the house a little bit before bedtime.
That's awesome.
right? That's like a super sweet thing. I don't necessarily always have to ask for it, or I don't even have to do it myself because he knows that. Because he
Mhm.
knows that there's this like surge of uncomfortable feelings in my body that come
Totally.
around that time of night.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally. That's being thoughtful. So
totally.
it may be too, and this kind of meta conversation is better had when you're not in the moment of the frustration.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
you could say, "Hey, could I talk to you about a theme I've noticed or
Mhm.
this thing that happens a lot that I've noticed? And I may be misreading it, but here's my observation." When I share things, especially feeling stuff, sometimes you get really annoyed. And I'm wondering if
Mm.
there's some way I could do that in a different way because sharing feelings with you helps me feel connected. And I want to feel connected.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're the one getting aggro about somebody sharing their feelings, it is easier to tell them what you want than to just express the frustration in an aggro way. If you want them to share their feelings in a different way, you can ask for that.
Mhm.
But that's also
Like
really hard to
you
do in the
could say
moment.
something like,
Mhm.
"Well,
Yes.
yeah, you can't do it necessarily in the moment.
Mhm.
You've gotta have it as a meta conversation."
Yes.
You can do it in the moment, but you better do it regulated, right? So if you
Yeah.
Mm.
yeah, I'm just thinking about
Mhm.
moments where I've maybe said something like, "Oh man, this feels so big. I do not
Yeah.
have the capacity in this moment. Can I swing back to you at whatever
Yeah.
time?"
Right, but there's a
Mm.
regulation that you're
Yeah.
exhibiting
I'm
inside of that,
I am
right?
regulated.
Yeah.
I am not expressing that in an aggro way. I'm expressing that in I see you. I can't right now. Here's when I can.
Mhm.
So like
Mhm.
it's a soft no because it's got a no. I don't have it in me right now. But I also have a yes that's coming at a different time.
Mhm.
Mhm.
This is important enough to me that I want to be at full
Yes.
capacity in order
Thank you.
to take it in.
You know,
Mhm.
something that's coming up as
Mhm.
I'm hearing both of you say this is that in addition to like, do I have the capacity for this right now or not? Another
Mhm.
Mhm.
piece that is also important when I'm on the listener side is what do you want from me? Like, how
Mhm.
do you
Yes.
want me
Mhm.
to listen to this? Do you want me like to like you sound really frustrated. This is really big stuff. Should I join you in that frustration and get annoyed at the stuff that's happening and that you're carrying so much or
Mhm.
should I like how do you want me to listen? Teach me how to listen to you in this moment.
Right.
And it
Do
might
you
be
want
different this moment from
advice?
next.
Do you want
Mhm.
empathy? Do you
Yeah.
want me to just be here while you vent? Like, what's the hope? It reminds me of that. I guess I probably saw it on YouTube or something, but the lady has the nail in her
Oh,
forehead,
yeah, 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 yeah. I love this one.
and
It's on
she's
YouTube.
like, she's
It's
talking
called It's Not
about
About the Nail.
it's not about the nail, and she's like talking about how she has this really terrible headache, and it just seems to keep going. And he's
And it's
sitting there
snagging all
going,
her
he's
sweaters.
snagging all her sweaters exactly, and he's going, "Well, there's a nail in your forehead." She's like, "You are
It's
not listening
not
to me.
about
It's not about the nail. I'm trying to express how I'm feeling."
and it
Right?
just throbs and it
Right,
hurts all the
totally.
time.
And what you can do is say out loud, "I would now like advice on how to make this better." Versus what I really want in this moment is empathy and just listening, or I want someone to help me while I vent.
Yeah.
Like, but I
Yeah.
don't want advice. So if you know that on the front end, you can
It
prepare your listener.
Mhm.
and it makes listening that like the experience of being the listener is totally transformed when you
Mhm.
know what the person who's speaking wants from you.
Sure. Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right? It is so much easier to
Yeah.
meet them there when
Mhm.
you know how they want to be met.
Mhm.
So I've noticed lately, like friends have been calling and they're venting about something. And I'll pause them quickly early on in the conversation, like, okay, wait, hold on, slow down. Tell me what you want from me in this conversation.
Mhm.
Right. And it makes
Mhm.
it so much easier for me to just be there and just listen in the way that they want without inserting all the other things that I might naturally do because that's who I am that they don't really
Mhm.
want that's going to get in the way of our connection in that moment.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then if I am just being a listener, I have to tolerate only listening and not giving all of my amazing and brilliant advice.
But if I know that that's what I'm doing, it totally changes my ability to be with me in that moment.
Totally.
Right.
It does, but it is often hard for people
It's really
Yes.
to
hard to
give up.
listen.
Yeah,
Yes.
to give up trying to fix it,
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We're not.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah,
And it
and
may
so
be
maybe
too feeling conversations have gone see, we're interrupting
we're
each other all over.
interrupting each
I love
other.
it. No, feeling conversations have gone really bad in the past, then I might start avoiding them.
And also, if I see that like you're frustrated about this thing or this thing is hurting you over and over and over again, I might get annoyed with you because you keep letting the same
Oh,
thing
yeah.
hurt you. Like, right? Like, I
Yeah.
know
Mhm.
where you're going to go with this because you go here all the time. And if you could only,
Mhm.
Oh, that sounds like the question.
Yeah.
Mhm.
well, maybe
I
it is.
wonder. I wonder,
Yeah.
but that's what it sounds
Yeah.
like of the repetition of it and the you were just saying this like
Yeah.
something like why, and I'm not saying this is the listener or the partner of it, but why haven't you done something about this by now?
Yeah.
I mean, I get that a lot in my office.
Of
Yeah.
course.
I remember this one conversation I had with my grandmother. She's passed. But I had this conversation when I was like in my early 20s in a different relationship or ending a different relationship or like in one of the throes of the ends of a relationship.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
And I was talking to my grandma about it and she's listening, she's listening, and she's listening. And she goes, "Sweetie, how long do you need to go through the same thing until you figure
Mm.
out what you need?" That was one of her really
Yeah.
great moments. Like,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
was a beautiful, like, how long are you going to have to keep going through this? Because she was hearing the repetition of something. She was hearing
Mhm.
a pattern that she had heard me talking about and she had heard me talking about and she'd
Mhm.
heard me talking about. But it
Mhm.
wasn't about like, did she get it? It was actually about how long was it going to take me to get it?
Mhm.
Yep. And
And were you ready
sometimes
to
we're
hear that?
open to hearing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Yeah.
we're not so open to hearing that.
Sure.
And
Right.
we're actually more interested in looking how this time is actually different, even though you think it's the same. Right?
Mhm.
Or it may be that me sharing this thing that's happening is a great way to connect. Or it may be that we have,
Or maybe I'm
I
just
have something
processing things verbally. I'm just processing
totally.
it.
Some of us are external processors.
Yeah.
Some of us are way more internal processors.
Mhm.
You're an
Yeah.
external processor?
Oh, I'm an external processor. And actually, that's what's so hard for me about getting interrupted is
Mm.
that
Middle of your
I
process.
if you don't interrupt me and let me go through my thing, I might get to that conclusion. I might learn that I'm in whatever cycle or
Right.
repeating the same thing over and over. But if you keep interrupting me, my brain is just going to freeze up and I'm never going to get there. And please just let me
Oh.
get there. Right?
Oh, totally. Yeah, so somebody might be leaps ahead of you and seeing something,
Yeah.
but if they stop you, you
Yeah.
actually don't get there
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
listening to them say, "I've heard this before."
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there's something about that, right? Because when we're really listening to somebody,
Yeah.
then our brains actually may be in a prediction place where we can actually predict what they're going to say before they say it.
Mhm.
So the
Mhm.
listener might actually be getting there before the person who's speaking is getting there.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean the person who's speaking doesn't need to finish processing it and speaking it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how powerful is it to have someone there as you
Yeah. To
finish
witness.
processing
Yeah.
and speaking?
Mhm.
Yes.
Right. Like
To
I'm
be
hear
thinking
you.
witnessed
in,
is
in
major.
it's so big. I'm
Mhm.
thinking in SE, like this is what Peter writes about in so many of his books, but like some of the most
Mhm.
powerful words, SE meaning somatic experiencing, some of the most powerful words we can say to another person is, "I'm here with you.
Mhm.
Mm.
I see you.
I see you. You're not
Yeah.
alone."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if you're on the receiving end of somebody's feelings and it's feeling frustrating, you could ask them too, "Hey,
Mhm.
how can I be with you in a way that helps you right now?" Um, or "What's your hope as you share it with me?"
Yeah.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I was just having one more thought
Yeah, yeah.
as we wrap up. And that's just that like sometimes the person who's listening may not have the same capacity for the depth of feeling that the person who's speaking is having.
Mhm. Not in that
And
moment, or
yeah,
maybe
maybe not in that moment,
not.
maybe not, right? Like
Mhm.
there that could also be part of what is going on and
Mhm.
that's okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like, it's okay to just be like, "I don't have the capacity to fully be here for you right now. Is there another way that I could be with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll
Mm.
just watch a movie together, or
Right.
we'll go for a
Can I
walk."
be with you in a different way in this
Yeah,
moment? Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's not a
Mhm.
total detachment, but it might be like
Mhm.
a, "I don't have the capacity to do this, and if I try to do this, we're both gonna not feel okay."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, a few notes for
Mhm.
all that are listening. Uh, check out our workshop, Integrating Heart and Mind.
Yeah, it's coming up in September. You can check
Yeah.
it out on our website.
And if you're enjoying the show, please leave us a comment and a review. It really helps folks find us.
All right. Take care of each other best you can.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That wraps up this week's episode. Join us again next week for another Why Does My Partner?
We hope that you continue to listen wherever you get your audio and that you'll follow the show.
To go deeper, join us at one of our workshops. You'll find our next date at whydoesmypartner.com.
Did you know you can ask us your questions?
Your questions are relational gold.
Go to whydoesmypartner.com to either write in or record your question for a future episode.
And here are some gratitudes. Thanks to Al Huberman, our sound editor and podcast production magic maker.
Thanks to every one of you who has joined us for our workshops in the past. We've learned so much from all of you.
And thanks to everyone who's reviewed the show on Apple Podcasts. Your reviews help others to find the show.
Take care of each other best you can.
See you next time.